This is a short story produced by StoryStream called The Zombie Chronicles, Seattle, Washington, created by Christopher A. Lee and narrated by Brian Lawson. Thank you for listening to this story. If you could leave the name of the city you are listening from, it might randomly get picked for our Zombie Snapshot series. And if you enjoyed this short story, please like and subscribe to the channel. Chapter 1, The Morning Route. The sky was still the color of slate when Ethan Cole stepped out of his apartment. A faint line of orange cut across the eastern horizon, casting long shadows through the sleepy streets of Shoreline. The air was crisp, damp with leftover mist from the night before, and it smelled faintly of pine and pavement, quintessential Pacific Northwest. Ethan sipped from a steaming gas station coffee cup, black and bitter, just the way he liked it. He paused at the edge of the parking lot, letting the silence soak in. No sirens, no barking dogs, no garbage trucks. Just the quiet hum of city life not quite awake. His boots echoed softly against the concrete as he approached Tina, his aging USPS mail truck, parked under a flickering streetlight. The side mirror was still duct taped from last winter's slide into a recycling bin, and one of the rear doors never latched properly unless you gave it a solid kick. Ethan gave the door that exact kick with practiced muscle memory and slid into the driver's seat. "Morning, old girl," he muttered, patting the dash. The dashboard clock blinked 6:11 a.m., right on schedule. His route today started on Meridian Avenue North, wound through a maze of cozy streets, NE 170th, Ashworth Avenue, Stone Avenue, and N 180th, then doubled back along Aurora Avenue before finishing near Shoreline Community College. He'd walked it so many times, he could have done it blindfolded. Ethan flicked on the radio. Static. He twisted the knob, surfing for NPR or KXP, but every station buzzed like a hornet's nest. Shrugging, he turned it off. No music today. By 6:30, Tina was rumbling along her route, tires crunching over dewy asphalt. The streets were still empty. Porch lights glowed soft amber, and inside windows, TVs blinked through morning news reports. Nothing unusual. A man jogged by with earbuds in. A teenager waited at the bus stop, hunched in a hoodie, scrolling her phone. The world felt normal. At the first stop on Meridian, Ethan hopped out, shouldered his satchel, and began the ritual of mailbox drops. Magazines, a Netflix DVD envelope, junk, water bills. He whistled low as he walked, his breath curling in the cold. "Morning, Ethan," came a voice from across the street. It was Mrs. Kalinsky, the elderly widow who still wore curlers and a robe every morning like a ritual. She waved a trembling hand from her porch. "Morning, ma'am," he called back, waving with his delivery scanner. "Radio's out," she said. "Tried to get my stories and it was all fuzz. You hear anything?" "Dead air on my end too. Probably just a glitch." He gave her a reassuring smile and moved on. 3 blocks later, a shape darted across a yard up ahead. Ethan paused. A coyote? He'd seen a few before, mostly at night, but this thing had looked off. It moved like it was injured, or limping. He squinted into the mist. Nothing now but silence and a lone sprinkler ticking rhythmically in a flower bed. By 7:10 a.m., the light had changed. The sun had fully crested, spilling soft gold across the treetops, casting long shadows that danced between houses. The fog had lifted, revealing driveways filled with still cars and recycling bins left out late. His route continued without a hitch, until the house on Ashworth Avenue. The mail had piled up, at least 3 days' worth. Ethan frowned. The owner, a guy named Raphael, never let mail sit for more than 24 hours. His Amazon orders usually stacked up like clockwork. Ethan stepped onto the porch and saw something smeared on the door, brownish red, dried like rust or maybe. He backed up a step. "Raphael," he called, knocking gently on the screen. No answer, just a low sound inside, like a chair scraping. Ethan hesitated. It wasn't his job to investigate. He had 30 more stops before 11. But something didn't sit right. He leaned in, peeking through the sidelight window. Dark inside. Shadows moved across the hall. Someone or something was in there. "All right," Ethan muttered, turning away. "Not my business." As he stepped off the porch, he heard it. A low groan, wet gurgling. He stopped mid-stride, turned, and that's when the front door creaked open. Raphael stood in the doorway. Only he wasn't Raphael. His jaw hung crooked like it had been snapped loose. One of his eyes was gone, just a sagging socket weeping black blood. His hands were shredded, fingertips raw and skin flaking off in long strips. A trail of viscous sludge dripped from his mouth onto his shirt. Ethan froze. "Raphael!" The thing lunged forward. Ethan stumbled back, landing on the lawn. His satchel spilled open envelopes and flyers fluttering everywhere. The Raphael thing clawed at the air, moaning low and wet, dragging a broken leg as it staggered forward. Ethan scrambled up and ran. He didn't stop until he reached Tina, heart pounding, lungs heaving. He slammed the door shut and locked it. His fingers trembled as he started the engine. "Wow, what the hell was that?" Another shape appeared in the rearview mirror. A figure in pajamas, bloody, shambling, stumbled into the street. Then another, and another. A man with no hands. A teenager with a twisted neck. A woman dragging a car seat soaked in blood. Ethan backed the truck up, tires screeching. The world had changed in the span of a sunrise. Chapter 2, Blood on the Wind. Ethan's hands trembled as they gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, coffee forgotten and cooling in the cup holder. Tina rattled down Meridian Avenue, every bump and pothole rattling his nerves just as much. He barely blinked as more figures staggered onto front lawns and sidewalks. Shambling silhouettes with shredded pajamas, bloodied faces, and grotesquely slow gaits. "What the hell is happening?" he muttered. A man dragged his intestines behind him like a fleshy tail. A woman in a robe tried to pull a toddler, already dead, or worse, out of a car seat splattered with gore. Ethan didn't stop. Couldn't. He knew one thing. He had to get to Melissa. She was tough, smart, a trauma nurse with 20 years in the ER trenches. If anyone knew what to do in a crisis, it was her. He pictured her standing by an emergency bay door, blood on her gloves but calm in her eyes. She'd know how to fix this. He flipped a hard right onto NE 155th Street, narrowly missing a parked Subaru with a shattered windshield. His route to downtown Seattle usually took I-5, but he knew better than to touch the freeway right now. Too many cars. Too many unknowns. He turned south instead, cutting down Aurora Avenue north, hoping to merge later through Green Lake and Fremont. That's when the first real sign of chaos hit him like a brick. Outside a PCC community market, people screamed. A man was swinging a shovel wildly in the parking lot, blood coating his sleeves. Two zombies lunged at him from either side, jaws clacking. A woman held a crying child behind a flipped shopping cart, screaming at a third one closing in. Ethan slammed on the brakes. He had a clear view and a clear choice. Do nothing, or help. His fingers hovered over the gear shift. You don't have time, you need to get to Melissa. Then he saw the girl. 7, maybe 8. Her brown hair was tied in pigtails. She clutched a purple backpack covered in cartoon owls, and her terrified eyes locked with his through the windshield. Ethan growled, "Damn it, Tina." He yanked the gear into park, grabbed the folding camping shovel from behind the seat, and bolted out into the parking lot. The first zombie turned toward him, a bloated man in cargo shorts and a blood-smeared mariner's jersey. The stench was unbearable. Mouth agape, it gurgled and lumbered toward Ethan with arms outstretched. Ethan gritted his teeth, raised the shovel, and swung hard. Crunch. The edge of the blade caught the creature across the temple, splitting scalp and skull. It dropped like a felled tree, thick black blood soaking into the pavement. He barely had time to adjust before the second one charged the grocery groaner. Its green Fred Meyer vest was stained with rot, its jaw missing, and one arm hung limp and useless. Ethan swung low this time, bashing its knee. It crumpled, then hissed at him from the ground like a dying cat. One more swing crushed its chest and it stopped moving. The man with the shovel shouted, "Look out!" Ethan spun. The third zombie, the one chasing the woman and child, was just feet away. Its face was shredded and its tongue lolled from a half-chewed mouth. Blood poured from open chest wounds like syrup. Ethan ran, grabbing the cart and shoving it aside. The woman screamed as the thing lunged at her. But Ethan moved fast, shovel raised, and brought it down with a wet, sickening crack. Once, twice, a third time. Silence. He was panting, sweat and adrenaline pouring down his back. The girl cried into her mother's coat. The man with the shovel nodded his thanks. "You saved them." Ethan didn't wait for praise. "You okay?" he asked, backing toward Tina. The woman nodded, tears streaking her face. Thank you. He nodded. "Get somewhere safe. Lock doors. Don't trust anyone acting strange." Then he turned and ran, not looking back. Back in Tina, Ethan drove harder. Every few blocks showed more carnage, burning cars, people running, Screams behind closed doors. Shoreline was falling, fast. He turned off Aurora and made for Greenwood Avenue, skirting around downed power lines and abandoned buses. His mind kept flashing back to the girl's eyes. Helpless. Scared. It was happening everywhere. The dead weren't staying dead. By the time he reached Fremont, the cityscape had shifted from suburban quiet to pre-apocalyptic chaos. Traffic lights blinked uselessly. Sirens blared in the distance, but no responders showed. A metro bus sat jackknifed against a telephone pole, its doors open, but no one inside. He kept Tina moving, pushing through intersections, honking when needed. Most people ignored him. A few tried to flag him down, but he couldn't stop again. "Melissa, just hang on." The phone in his pocket buzzed, 1 bar of signal. He pulled it out, hands shaking. There one new message, Melissa. 7:31 a.m. Ethan, something bad is happening. I'm at work. ER is locked down. They're changing. Stay away from Harborview. I love you, just in case. He stopped breathing. Stay away? He gripped the wheel tighter. No way, not happening. He pressed the gas again, heading straight into the heart of the city. Chapter 3, No Sanctuary in the City. The tires of Ethan's mail truck, affectionately nicknamed Tina, hissed over broken glass as he guided it deeper into the belly of the city. Traffic lights blinked red in every direction, the streets jammed with abandoned cars, doors still open. The morning sun had risen high, but it only seemed to spotlight the destruction. He had made it down through Greenwood, weaving past blood-smeared intersections and fleeing civilians. Now the familiar skyline of downtown Seattle loomed, glass towers glinting against gray clouds, the Space Needle in the distance standing like a cracked spine above a dying body. His phone buzzed again, one last flicker of hope. Signal lost. Damn it! Ethan tossed it onto the passenger seat beside his bloody shovel. His mind flickered back to Melissa's message. Stay away from Harborview. I love you. He was barely a mile out now. If she was still alive, she needed him. If she wasn't, he couldn't finish the thought. He turned onto Dexter Avenue, passing the burnt remains of a coffee shop. The chalkboard sign still read, "Try our new spring brews." But the windows were shattered, and a body lay crumpled near the espresso machine. A low moan echoed from somewhere inside, but Ethan didn't stop. He needed to conserve gas. Tina was burning through it fast, and the dashboard needle trembled just above E. As he coasted past Anyway, something moved on the sidewalk. A figure, teenage, skinny, hunched over, slowly shambling in erratic half circles. Its head lolled sideways. Its hand was fused to something, a phone. The screen was cracked, but still lit. It pulsed with a flashing no-signal warning. Every few seconds, the creature let out a warped ringtone, distorted through its torn throat. The South Center Stumbler. Its hoodie was soaked in blood down the front, and bone jutted from one shoulder. Every motion it made was twitchy, disjointed, like it still had muscle memory of pacing the mall, looking for Wi-Fi. It turned toward Tina. Ethan's heart pounded. He should just drive on. But the Stumbler bolted at the truck with a jolt of movement that felt wrong. It hit the side panel with a thud and immediately started clawing at the door, its bloody fingers dragging down the glass like chalk. The ringtone blared again from its fused device hand. A ding-ding, ding-ding. Ethan floored it. Tina surged forward, swerving left and right as the creature stumbled after them, still calling out with its ghost-tone song. Ethan didn't look back. 2 blocks later, he had to stop. A wrecked city bus blocked the intersection near Virginia Street. Flames licked at the air, smoke curling like snakes above it. Cars were piled behind it, dozens deep. He slammed Tina into park and stepped out, shovel in hand. The heat from the wreck made him sweat instantly. He started toward the sidewalk, thinking he could go around. That's when he heard it. Whispers, low, repeating, chanting. Ethan froze, not groans, not screaming, just murmuring. He followed the sound, moving toward the steps of a nearby stone church. Its stained glass shattered into glinting shards. The front doors hung open, and inside, standing alone beneath a pulpit, was the Renton Reverend. Its spine was twisted backwards so far that its head hung over its shoulders, facing the ceiling. A blood-soaked Bible hung from one hand, the pages stuck together with congealed gore. Its throat had been crushed flattened like a soda can, yet somehow. It still murmured verses in broken gasps. Hey, who walks through the valley of shadows? Ethan gripped his shovel tighter, the hairs on his neck rising. The Reverend turned. Its eyes were glassy, sunken. Black veins spidered across its cheeks. It stepped down from the altar, dragging its foot. One of its shoes was still polished. Ethan took a step back. The thing kept muttering garbled fragments of scripture bubbling out of its ruined mouth. He should run, but his feet were frozen. The image was haunting, grotesque, like death itself was trying to give him a sermon. The Reverend lurched forward suddenly, hands rising, Bible falling to the stone floor with a wet slap. Ethan snapped out of it and swung. Crack! The metal edge of the shovel bit into the side of the Reverend's skull. It staggered, gurgled, and lunged again. Second swing, third, fourth. Finally, the thing collapsed at the altar, leaking a slow pool of black blood across the church tiles. Ethan stood over it, panting, the shovel vibrating in his grip. God help us, he whispered, if you're still up there. Back in Tina, he rejoined the road using a sidewalk, mounting the curb to get around the wreckage. The city was falling to pieces. He passed empty police cruisers, abandoned fire engines, and storefronts reduced to ruins. A corpse dangled from the monorail track above, swaying like a grotesque warning banner. He was almost to Yesler Way now. Harborview wasn't far. And then he saw it. The hospital. Smoke billowed from one wing. Dozens, maybe hundreds of people clogged the entrance, screaming, pounding, tearing. Security guards were overrun. Blood smeared the lobby glass. Stretchers had been flipped. Ambulances had crashed. He skidded Tina to a stop behind a barricade of flipped cars. Melissa was in there. He didn't know if she was still alive, but he had to try. He popped open the glove box, grabbed his Leatherman and flashlight, then took the shovel with both hands. The hospital loomed ahead like a fortress under siege. Ethan stepped out and started walking. Chapter 4, What Remains in the Halls. The sliding doors of Harborview Medical Center were shattered, one half barely hanging from its rail. Blood painted the linoleum in swipes and pools, mingled with boot prints, drag marks, and broken glass. Alarms chirped softly in the background, meaningless now, just noise in a dead building. Ethan stepped inside, shovel in hand, eyes darting left and right. The front lobby had been turned into a makeshift triage zone. Stretchers were overturned, IV bags lay popped and leaking on the floor, and a heart monitor emitted a steady, lonely flatline from somewhere deeper in the building. He whispered, "Melissa." No answer. He pressed on, down a hallway lined with shattered vending machines and overturned wheelchairs. The smell was worse inside antiseptic, mixed with rot, blood, and something almost sweet. He reached the elevator bank, but the lights above were dark. He took the stairs. The third floor ICU. Ethan crept forward, boots crunching glass. The lights flickered above like dying stars. A gurney slammed across the hallway behind him. He spun, shovel raised, but saw no one. Just a loose cart rolling away, knocked aside by something or someone. Then he heard it.
A voice.
Weak. Ethan. He turned sharply. Down the hallway, barely visible under a flickering ceiling fixture, was a figure slumped against a wall. A blood-soaked lab coat. Blonde hair matted to a pale face. Melissa. Melissa! He ran to her, kneeling beside her, hands trembling as he checked her face, her neck. Her eyes fluttered open. "Hey," she croaked. "Took you long enough. Jesus, you're hurt." Her side was wrapped in gauze, red, blooming through like a dying flower. Her leg was shredded below the knee. Her hands shook. I tried to help them all," she whispered. "There were too many. Some of the staff. They turned first. It was fast." Tears burned in Ethan's eyes. "I'm getting you out of here, now!" He slid his arm behind her back, starting to lift her. "No," she groaned. "You can't. We'll figure it out. I've got a truck. It's running. I'll find meds, a place to hide, something." A new sound, wet dragging, coming from the hallway behind them. Ethan turned slowly, heart slamming against his ribs. It emerged from the shadows like a ghost from a nightmare. The hospital horror. Its blood-drenched gown hung in ragged sheets from a skeletal frame. Tubes trailed from its throat and arms, still dripping fluids. Surgical staples held its stomach closed, but black rot spilled through the gaps. One eye socket had been peeled back, revealing muscle and a pulsating orb. Its breathing was wrong, choppy and gurgling, and every step came with a liquid squelch. Ethan stood, shovel raised. "Stay back!" The creature paused as if studying him. Then it moved. Fast. It crashed into him, knocking him down. He swung wildly, catching the side of its jaw and sending blackened teeth skittering across the tile. Melissa screamed behind him. The hospital horror shrieked, a sound wet and ragged, like air escaping a punctured lung. It grabbed Ethan's shirt, yanked him close, and vomited a spray of blood and bile across his chest. He kicked it off, scrambled up, and raised the shovel again. But it had already turned toward Melissa. No, it was too fast. She tried to crawl, blood smearing behind her, but the creature lunged. Its IV tubes wrapped around her wrists like serpents. The surgical tubing yanked her back. Ethan ran, screaming, swinging, but he wasn't fast enough. It bit her, hard, right below the collarbone. Her scream was muffled as it clamped down like a bear trap. Ethan roared and struck, blade bearing into the zombie's back. Again. It finally collapsed. He dropped beside Melissa, grabbing her shoulders, shaking her gently. No. She blinked slowly, blood running from her lips. Ethan, I'm here, Mel, I'm here. Her hand gripped his weakly. I'm not gonna make it. He shook his head. I'll stop it. I'll find something. You know better. Tears rolled down his face. I don't want to die like that, she whispered. Please, promise me. He looked into her eyes, familiar, warm even now.
He nodded.
Then raised the shovel. His hand trembled. I love you, she said. I love you too.
He closed his eyes.
One clean swing. Silence followed, just the distant flat beep of a machine that no longer monitored anyone. Ethan stood alone, covered in her blood. The hospital horror twitched beside him, then went still. He didn't speak, didn't cry anymore. He walked back down the corridor step by heavy step and left the hospital behind. Chapter 5, The City That Eats Itself. Ethan didn't remember walking out of the hospital. His boots were soaked with blood. His sister's, the creature's, maybe even his own. The shovel in his hand was slick, the edge dulled from too many impacts. His chest was crusted in vomit and bile, his face caked with soot and ash. But he kept moving. The sun had climbed higher, but it offered no warmth. Shadows stretched long across Yesler Way as the wind carried the scent of rotting flesh through the urban maze. The city screamed around him, sirens, gunshots, sobbing, crashing windows. Distant helicopters thudded above the skyline, going somewhere else, helping someone else. Ethan stumbled into an alley behind the hospital. Trash bins were tipped over. Blood streaked the brick walls. A few crows pecked at something beneath a tarp. He didn't stop to check. He just walked. A shriek pierced the air, then another and another. Ethan paused in the middle of a narrow corridor between a storage facility and a shuttered pharmacy. The echo grew louder, closer. A rhythmic pounding began, many feet slapping concrete, irregular, wet, and desperate. He turned and saw them. Dozens, maybe 30, maybe more. Bodies in tattered uniforms, naked torsos, blood-slicked gowns, and mangled business suits. Their eyes glowed empty, their mouths slack or torn. Some crawled, some ran. Some dragged broken legs behind them with shocking speed. A horde. Drawn to the hospital, drawn to him. Ethan backed away slowly, then turned and ran. He tore down the alley, boots slamming the ground, lungs heaving. His legs ached, his chest screamed, but he didn't stop. He cut down a side street 8th Avenue and skidded around a wrecked taxi, its windows busted out and blood smearing the steering wheel. They were still coming, faster now, screaming, snarling, clawing over each other. He vaulted a railing into an open-air stairwell and plunged 2 floors down into an underground transit access tunnel, a metro bus corridor abandoned and dark. The smell hit him instantly. Shit, diesel, blood, rot. Flashing lights still pulsed red against the walls, casting long shadows across cracked tile and twisted railings. A gutted bus sat near the tunnel entrance, its interior dark. A blood trail led from the driver's seat across the station floor. Ethan darted inside, ducked low behind the rear seats, and held his breath. He could hear them above feet slamming steel stairs, screeching voices bouncing off concrete. But they hadn't found the entrance. Yet, he clenched his jaw, wiping sweat from his brow with a trembling hand. His eyes darted around the tunnel, looking for exits, hiding places, escape routes. Then he heard it, whimpering. Not a zombie, a person. He raised his shovel and inched toward the source beneath a bench near the bus entrance. A figure curled into a ball. Hoodie, jeans, messy hair. Young, maybe 20, pale, bleeding from the shoulder. Ethan crouched. Hey, you bet? The kid, barely more than a teenager, looked up with wide eyes. No, cut, on glass. You sure? Yeah, please. I didn't know where else to go. They tore through everyone up there. Stay quiet. A new sound echoed through the station. A door above creaked open. A deep, guttural groan followed. Ethan looked up. Shadows spilled down the stairs like a slow, rotting flood. He grabbed the kid's arm. "We move, now." They scrambled down a secondary tunnel, deeper into the station. The air grew colder, darker. Lights flickered overhead, some fully dead. They passed another bus. This one crashed into the tunnel wall. Windshield shattered. Blood frozen in long streaks across the hood. A zombie lay inside, strapped to a gurney wedged between the seats. It opened its eyes. A hospital horror reject. Mouth full of cracked teeth and surgical staples. No legs, just a torso, leaking from every seam. Ethan didn't stop. He just crushed its skull as they passed. "The kid Liam," he finally said, pointed toward an emergency stairwell. "Up there, it leads to the surface." Ethan nodded. They pushed through the door and climbed. The building above was unfamiliar, maybe a courthouse or office complex. The lights were dead. The walls were spray-painted with bloody handprints. On the third-floor landing, Liam tripped, letting out a yelp. The groan answered. Fast. Too fast. The stairwell door at the top burst open, and 3 figures tumbled in. One of them crawled on all fours, mouth wide, eyes missing, skin melted. A burnt remnant, blackened, cracking with every step. The smell hit Ethan like napalm-cooked flesh and death. He shoved Liam behind him and raised his shovel. The thing launched forward silent, save for the crackle of scorched flesh. Ethan met it mid-lunge. "Steel met skull."
Once, twice.
3 times. The burnt remnant fell, jaw unhinged, back still smoking. The other 2 zombies lunged. One grabbed Liam's leg. Ethan didn't hesitate. He crushed the thing's head, a sickening squelch. The third went down harder, but eventually Ethan pinned it and buried the blade deep into its skull. Silence returned. Liam sobbed behind him. "I thought I was going to die." Ethan stood slowly. His voice was like gravel. "You still might." They emerged on the surface, somewhere near Pioneer Square. Seattle was burning, and they were far from done. Chapter 6, The Price of Firepower. They moved before the smoke settled. Ethan and Liam crept through the charred edges of Pioneer Square, ducking behind scorched benches and overturned mailboxes. The fires from the hospital zone still rose in the distance, casting the city in flickering orange light. Liam limped slightly, still favoring the gash on his ankle. The makeshift bandage they'd tied together from a seatbelt was soaked through, but he grit his teeth and kept up. Ethan walked ahead, shovel clutched tightly, eyes scanning every alley, every shadow.
Then they saw it.
A Seattle police checkpoint, barely standing, surrounded by crashed patrol cars and sandbags torn apart by clawed hands. The entry fence hung open. No guards, just silence and blood. Liam said what they were both thinking. "Looks like we missed the party." Ethan stepped forward cautiously, shovel raised. "We're checking it anyway." 2 police cruisers sat half buried in wreckage, their doors open. One of the officers had been slumped across the hood so long his uniform had rotted into his skin. The other lay face down in a sprawl of spent shell casings. That's when Ethan saw it, a pistol. Blood smeared but intact. A Glock 19 half buried under the body's outstretched hand. He crouched, peeled it free, and checked the mag. 8 rounds. Slide scratched, grip slick with dried blood, but it worked. Liam stared. "You know how to use it?" "No." Ethan ejected the mag, checked the chamber. Loaded, clicked it back in. "But I'll learn fast." They searched the cruiser, found a half-full magazine, a flashlight, and a Kevlar vest soaked with blood but still intact. Ethan shrugged into it, even though it hung a little loose. Liam grabbed a flashlight and a baton from the trunk. Better than nothing.
Then came the scream.
Across the street, a man stumbled onto a rooftop, waving frantically. "Help! Someone! They're coming!" Too late. The horde appeared from 3 different angles, crawling over a school bus, out from behind a shattered ATM kiosk, and pouring from a stairwell like a flood of rotten rage. Liam froze. "No!" Ethan pulled him behind the cruiser. "Do we help him?" Liam gasped. Ethan gritted his teeth. "We can't, but they'll overrun us too." The man screamed as the horde climbed the side of the building like ants. Then he disappeared beneath them, his cries cut short. Liam turned away. Ethan stood, raised the Glock, fired once. Bashin emesh. One head burst, a crawler dropped. He didn't wait for the others. "Move!" he shouted. They fled down Yesler Way, ducking through the broken entry of a retail pharmacy, the interior shelves torn to splinters. The place had been looted days ago, but Ethan found a pack of gauze and 2 water bottles behind a cashier's counter. They hunkered down behind a storage freezer as the horde passed outside, groaning, snarling, chewing through whatever unlucky stragglers had fallen behind. Liam was quiet, his face pale, eyes red. Ethan passed him a bottle of water. "Drink." He didn't. After a while, Liam whispered, "How do you do it?" "Do what?" "Stay so calm, so cold." Ethan looked out through the broken storefront window. "I buried my sister with a shovel yesterday. Shot a kid in the mouth last night. If I stop and think about it, I'll freeze. And I can't freeze." Liam finally drank. The street went quiet again. That night, they found an abandoned apartment 3 stories above a collapsed parking garage. It stank of mildew and rot, but the door had a deadbolt and the windows were intact. They stacked furniture against the entrance and took turns watching the hall. Ethan cleaned the Glock with rubbing alcohol and gauze. Liam used the flashlight to carve a notch into the wall beside the door. "What's that for?" Ethan asked. "Every day we survive, we keep count." Ethan didn't answer. He just stared out the window at the dead city and gripped the pistol tighter. Chapter 7, Pike Place Massacre. By dawn, the air was thick with ash and dread. Ethan stood on the rooftop of a gutted parking garage, scanning the skeletal skyline of downtown Seattle. The Space Needle pierced the clouds in the distance, its base dark and silent. Somewhere below, the sound of distant gunfire echoed off broken glass. Below him, Liam slept in the front seat of a wrecked sedan. Ethan didn't sleep much anymore. Not since Melissa. The city was breathing slow and heavy, but it wasn't alive. He saw the glint of the Pike Place Market sign through the haze. That famous red lettering now flickered like a dying heartbeat. "We're heading out," Ethan muttered to himself. They cut across First Avenue, ducking beneath smashed awnings and piles of fallen bricks. The buildings still stood, but they were gutted souls ripped out and windows punched in. Liam was limping less today. He held a flashlight in one hand and his crowbar in the other. "Where are we going, Hanisham?" he asked. Ethan pointed ahead. "Supplies, shelter. Market's got layers, underground too. Could be good cover." Liam squinted toward the horizon. "Or a death trap." "Yeah, that too." The entrance to Pike Place was open. A swinging chain hung low between 2 posts, but no guards. No welcome. Just silence. Inside, the main corridor stretched in 2 directions, scattered with overturned carts, broken tile, and smeared trails of red. The fish market was a graveyard. Scales glittered like teeth on the floor. Chunks of rotten tuna and shrimp lay in coagulated pools of brine. Liam covered his nose. "God, it stinks." They passed a row of gutted stalls. A flower stand had dried up into a bouquet of ashen flies. A toy vendor's booth was full of broken dolls, some hanging by their hair from snapped wires. Then came the laugh. High-pitched, warped, childlike. Ethan froze. The sound came again, like a skipping giggle looped through an old cassette deck. Something crawled across the ceiling grid. Liam whispered, "What the hell was that?" It dropped behind the counter. The infantile horror. Thin, spider-like limbs. A bloated stomach, split wide and leaking. Its face was pale and twitching, stitched crudely together with ribbon or fishing line. Its mouth opened far too wide, unnaturally wide, and released a sound halfway between a laugh and a scream. It moved fast, too fast. Ethan fired the Glock. Bashin emesh. Missed. It darted left, chittering, eyes milky and twitching. Liam swung his crowbar but hit air. The thing launched itself from the countertop and slammed into Ethan's chest, knocking him over. Its limbs wrapped around him, nails scratching at his throat. Bashin emesh. He fired again, this time hitting its side. The infantile horror shrieked and recoiled. Liam brought the crowbar down hard, once, twice, 3 times. It stopped laughing. Stopped moving. Stopped being. They stood in silence, panting, staring down at the thing. "Was that a kid?" Liam asked, voice shaky. Ethan looked at it. "Not anymore." They pushed deeper into the market, stepping over food crates and body parts. Something hissed behind the meat counter. The melted one. Skin bubbled and torn, flesh fused with bits of plastic and metal. Its tongue slithered along the floor like a worm, trailing black bile. Its eyes had liquefied 2 runny pits above a jawless mouth. It rose and charged. Not shambled, charged. Ethan fired again. Bang, bang. The rounds hit its shoulder and chest, but the thing didn't care. It slammed into Ethan, knocking him into a crate of spoiled potatoes. Liam screamed and stabbed his crowbar into its spine, but it wouldn't stop. Ethan rolled, grabbed his shovel from his back, and swung upward. Crack! The blade caught the melted one's throat. Blood black and bubbling spewed in a pressurized stream. Still not dead, Ethan ripped a flare from his belt, struck it, and shoved it into the gaping hole in the zombie's side. It ignited instantly. The creature screeched and flailed, knocking over shelves and displays as it burned. They ran breathless through the back corridors. Every turn felt like a trap. Blood in the stairwells, bite marks on the walls, scratches on the exit doors. Finally, they burst out through the post-alley exit, stumbling into sunlight. The gum wall to their right was splattered with handprints, drag marks, and smeared blood. They didn't speak. Not at first to him. Liam finally said, "They're changing." Ethan nodded. Faster, smarter, meaner. Liam looked at him. What if it spreads outside the city? What if it already has? Ethan looked east toward Redmond, toward Jacob, toward Rachel. We keep moving. Chapter 8, The Reason We Keep Going. The door creaked as Ethan eased it shut behind them, locking the deadbolt with a soft click. They were inside a second-floor apartment above a long-abandoned sandwich shop on the edge of Capitol Hill. The windows were intact, and the hallway was empty. No groans, no footsteps, no screams. For once, silence wasn't terrifying. It was relief. The apartment smelled like dust, grease, and old garlic bread. But the space was defensible. One way in, one way out. The back room had a couch, a love seat, and a fold-out table. Liam dropped his gear and collapsed onto the couch. I think my legs are giving out on me. Ethan checked the windows, drew the blinds, and dragged a mini fridge in front of the door. Good, means you're still alive. Liam chuckled barely. You always this cheerful after outrunning mutant fishmongers? Ethan sat across from him, unslinging his duffel bag and setting the Glock on the table. First time, actually. Liam pulled his hoodie tighter around himself. His face was paler than usual, and the bruises on his arms had turned a dark red. But he was holding together better than Ethan expected. After a few minutes of silence, Liam said, So, are we going to talk about it? About what? About who you were, before all this. Ethan stared at the wall for a moment, then took a slow breath. Ethan Cole, 38, mailman, shoreline route. I drove Tina my truck, woke up at 5 every morning, delivered mail, came home, made dinner, tried to sleep. Repeat. Liam nodded slowly. You have family. Ethan looked away.
I did.
He pulled a wallet from his back pocket and slid a picture across the table. A young boy, smiling, gap-toothed, proudly holding a Lego spaceship, and a woman with soft eyes and windswept hair standing behind him. My son, Jacob, 10 years old, my ex-wife, Rachel. They live in Redmond, or they did. Liam studied the photo. That's why we're going east. Ethan nodded. Melissa, my sister, she told me to stay away. I didn't listen. By the time I got to the hospital, he trailed off. The weight of it lingered in the air. She's gone, isn't she? Ethan looked at the shovel leaning in the corner. I gave her peace. Liam swallowed hard. I'm sorry. Ethan leaned back, eyes distant. Jacob used to leave notes in my mailbag when I dropped him off at school. Little sketches of monsters, stick figures with laser guns. One time he left a drawing of me fighting zombies. Liam smiled. Guess he was ahead of his time. Ethan exhaled sharply. Yeah. A few minutes passed. Then Liam said, I was in college. First year, UW campus. I stayed late during spring break to study for midterms. My parents were in Federal Way. What happened? I never made it home. By the time I tried, the highway was already jammed. Fires, roadblocks, people running. I climbed a fire escape to get away from a screaming woman missing half her face. Never saw my parents again. You think they made it? I don't know, Liam said. I hope they didn't suffer. But if they turned, he didn't finish the sentence. I'd want to remember them the way they were. Laughing, fighting over who made better chili, watching movies with the dog on the couch between them. Ethan nodded. Memory's all we've got left. They sat in silence. Then Ethan said, You did good today, back at the market. I was terrified. You didn't freeze, that's what matters. Liam leaned forward. You think we'll make it to Redmond? I don't know, Ethan said, but I'm not stopping until I do. Liam grinned faintly. Then I guess I won't either. Later, they each took a turn watching the door. The night passed in a rare, uneasy peace. Ethan held the picture of Jacob one last time before sliding it back into his wallet. He didn't believe in hope, but he believed in movement. And sometimes that had to be enough. Chapter 9, The Hollow Refuge. They saw the sign just past Bourne Avenue, nailed to the frame of a bent streetlight, fluttering in the wind like a dying flag. Safe zone. Entry through construction gate. Food, water, medical shelter. Liam squinted at it. Looks hand-painted. Ethan lowered his binoculars. The area behind the sign was ringed in shipping containers, stacked too high. There were sandbags, makeshift fences, movement. Could be legit, he said. Could be a trap. Liam exhaled. I'd kill for a sandwich in a quiet corner. Ethan studied the sky. Clouds were rolling in thick and gray. The air felt electric, heavy with a coming storm. He clicked the safety off his Glock. Let's find out. The gate was guarded by 2 people in mismatched gear, one in SWAT fatigues, the other in a construction vest over a blood-stained hoodie. Both carried rifles, but they didn't raise them as Ethan and Liam approached. Where are you coming from? The SWAT man asked. Downtown, Ethan replied. Bites? No. You carrying? Ethan held up his Glock. For protection. The man nodded. Welcome to Camp Myrtle. Shelter's tight, but we've got food. You follow the rules, you'll be fine. Ethan exchanged a glance with Liam. Neither of them said it aloud, but they were thinking the same thing. This was too good to be true. Inside, the camp looked like it had been thrown together in a panic. There were maybe 30 survivors, spread out among tents, RVs, and a row of blue porta-potties. The medical center was a folding table covered in gauze, canned soup, and a single pair of gloves. A woman stirred beans over a fire barrel. Kids sat near a broken fountain, poking ash with sticks. A man tuned a busted radio, frowning. Liam whispered, This place feels wrong. Ethan said nothing. They were directed to an open tent. A cot each, clean water, protein bars. Just rest, the guard said. You're lucky. We've been holding this place steady. Liam sank onto the cot like he hadn't slept in weeks. Ethan sat down, but he never dropped his weapon. The peace lasted exactly 23 minutes. A distant moan echoed off the containers. Then a scream. Someone fired a gun. Then the perimeter went off like a siren of the damned. Groaning, screaming, chaos. The wall to the south stacked shipping containers and tarps collapsed under the weight of the incoming horde. Not a dozen, not 100, hundreds. A sea of them, pouring from alleyways, over rooftops, through the tree line behind the construction yard. The guards opened fire. Panic erupted. People ran in every direction. Some were trampled, others were bitten in seconds. A young woman tried to carry her son, was tackled mid-step, her child screaming before being dragged under a tangle of limbs. Ethan! Liam screamed. Ethan yanked him up and bolted for the east fence. A military zombie, still in a shattered flak vest, came barreling through the mess, one arm bone only, dog tags rattling. Ethan fired twice, bang bang, until it dropped. They ducked behind a supply trailer as flames rose near the entrance. Someone had tried to light the horde on fire. It only made things worse. Burning corpses still moved, blistered, shrieking, spreading flame as they thrashed through tents and bodies. Ethan and Liam ran. They scrambled through a maintenance access behind the portables, climbed over a drainage pipe, and slid down the back end of the hill bordering the camp. The screams behind them grew louder, then were swallowed by the sound of hundreds of feet and chewing teeth. They didn't stop running until they hit a wide street surrounded by silence. Both collapsed behind an overturned city bus, panting. Liam clutched his ribs. We led them there, didn't we? Ethan didn't answer right away. Maybe. They followed us. That noise, that scent. We brought it to them. Ethan stared out at the open road. You're still alive, he said. That doesn't mean I'm not guilty. Ethan didn't argue. They got up, started walking. The only direction that mattered was east. Chapter 10, the end of the route. The sun was low behind them, smearing the western sky in streaks of amber and smoke as Ethan and Liam trudged the final stretch of road into Redmond. The air felt wrong, too still, too quiet, as if the town itself was holding its breath. The walk had taken the better part of a day. They'd crossed highways littered with abandoned cars, filtered through cul-de-sacs choked with overgrowth, and sidestepped corpses slumped in garden chairs. Now they were here. Ethan's heart pounded in his ears. He hadn't dared to hope, but he hadn't let himself imagine the worst either. Not fully. He stopped at the corner of a suburban roundabout. Familiar. Too familiar. This is it, he said softly. Liam looked up. Your street? Ethan nodded. 2147 Hawthorne Drive. Blue house, white trim, the porch light always left on just in case Jacob stayed up late reading. They moved slow. Every step closer twisted a little more tension into Ethan's spine. Finally, they reached the house. The mailbox stood, bent at the corner but upright. A flyer for a lost dog fluttered weakly on the post. The front window was broken, shattered inward. The curtains had long since rotted to yellow tatters. Blood dried in streaks across the siding. Ethan pushed open the front gate. It creaked. The porch groaned beneath their feet. The door was cracked, the frame splintered from the inside, as if someone had tried to get out, or something had pushed in. Ethan raised his Glock. "Stay behind me." Liam didn't argue. The living room was chaos. Couch cushions torn apart, broken lamp, pictures knocked from the walls. Ethan spotted a family photo face down beneath the coffee table. He picked it up. Jacob, 7 years old, smiling beside a sandcastle. Rachel holding an umbrella, grinning, himself sunburned but laughing. His hand shook. A sound from the hallway. Lodi, wet, shuffling. He stepped carefully around the corner. The kitchen. Blood everywhere. And there, hunched in the corner like some horrible memory, Rachel. She wore a tattered bathrobe. Her mouth was gone, lips chewed away to expose gums and broken teeth. Her skin sagged like wet paper. And beside her, Jacob, no longer a boy. His eyes were white and blind. One arm hung at an unnatural angle. His mouth opened and closed with clicking noises. Ethan froze. "No?" They turned toward him, growling. Rachel shambled forward, dragging a broken foot. Jacob moved faster, jerky, unsteady but quick. "Stop!" Ethan raised the Glock, but his hands were trembling. The sights danced. His finger hesitated on the trigger. He couldn't. Not Jacob. Liam stepped beside him. "Ethan!" "Don't. You can't just—" "I said don't." Rachel groaned, reaching out. Ethan stepped back. They didn't stop. He fired into the floor. Bashin emesh. Both paused, startled, then resumed their approach. Ethan's chest heaved, his vision blurred. He couldn't do it. He couldn't kill them. Not after all this. He turned, shoved Liam back through the hallway. "Go, now!" They slammed the front door and bolted it. Ethan jammed a kitchen chair beneath the knob, then another, then dragged a bookshelf in front of it. Behind the door, Jacob scratched. Tiny hands, fingernails on wood. Rachel let out a muffled moan that sounded almost like a sob. Ethan stepped back, breathing hard. His arms went slack. "They're gone," Liam whispered. "I know. You didn't kill them." "I couldn't." Liam stared at the door. "What now?" Ethan looked down at his hands, at the shovel still strapped to his back, at the gun, heavy in his holster. He turned his back to the house. "We walk away." They left in silence. Behind them, the groaning continued. Forever, maybe. But Ethan didn't look back.
Not once.